You're listening to The World at 8 with Lynn Mozart. The World at 8, the number one in nationalist news.
Headlines of the news today, the 2nd of April. London Mayoral Election, candidates scrap on crime figures. UK at extreme risk of flu pandemic as millions of foreign visitors are expected for Olympics. Water companies waste water in drought, report shows. Eurozone unemployment this week hits a new peak. Aung San Suu Kyi in Burma Election victory. Pakistan jails Osama bin Laden's family. Islamic group plants flag in Mali's Timbuktu. Syria dismisses notions of foreign intervention. Thought for the day: enrichment or colonisation? UK news. It is being reported that mayoral candidates Johnson and Livingstone are at odds over crime figures. Boris vows to add 2,000 officers if he wins the poll on May the 3rd and insists London is safer today than when he took power in 2008. Ken claims Johnson's record on crime is much worse. Ken's team shares Metropolitan Police figures showing knife crime rose 16% since 2008. Households face a hosepipe ban throughout the entire summer, no matter how much it rains, water companies warned yesterday. Some restrictions come into place this week and will continue at least until October in parts of southern England and London. The news comes just 4 days after inflation-busting water bill increases for millions of customers. An investigation by the Sun newspaper found South East Water had been opening more than 1,000 hydrants in the dead of night to flush out the system. The work, which the company claims is essential to maintain water quality, is still being carried out despite the UK suffering the driest spell in 86 years. Much of England has officially been declared a drought as millions of people face a ban on watering gardens, washing cars and filling paddling pools with hoses beginning this Thursday. South East Water defended their attempts to save water during the drought and said they performed the highest pressure flushing to clear the main pipes of sediment and rust. This summer's Olympics, with 5.3 million extra foreign tourists, will increase the already extreme risk of a flu pandemic spreading in the UK, according to a new Maplecroft report. Britain is ranked second only to Singapore for its vulnerability to the rapid spread of an influenza outbreak. The UK is at such high risk because of its densely packed cities, highly mobile population and popularity as a global travel hub. The pandemic could spread from visitors from high-risk countries in the Southeast Asia, with the tube turning into an incubator as it will handle an extra 800,000 travellers this summer. The NHS prescription charge in England has increased by 25p per item to £7.65, a rise of 3.4% from £7.40. In all other UK countries, NHS prescriptions remain free of charge. Wales scrapped prescription charges in 2007, Northern Ireland did so in 2010 and Scotland removed charges last year. GPs in Scotland have warned of a rising workload since the charges were removed a year ago. Whilst Northern Ireland are considering the reintroduction of prescription charges to raise revenue, maintain services and support new treatments and access to specialist drugs, the BMA believes prescription charges in England should be abolished. Commenting on this year's rise in charges, BMA chairman Dr Hamish Meldrum said the current system was a chaotic and unfair mess. Euro news. Unemployment in the 17 countries using the euro has hit its highest since the currency was introduced in 1999, adding the fears the region is back in recession. The 8th straight month of rising unemployment is likely to reinforce concerns that the Eurozone is in recession just as many countries pursue austerity measures to get control of their crippling debt loads. Spain, whose government announced another series of austerity measures last Friday, has the highest unemployment rate in the Eurozone of 23.6%, with youth unemployment, those under 25 years of age, standing at 50.5%. World news. 22 years after winning the popular vote, the National League for Democracy's Aung San Suu Kyi will take her place in the Burmese parliament. A Pakistani court has sentenced Osama bin Laden's 3 widows and 2 daughters to 45 days in jail for illegally staying in the country. It is reported they will be deported when their sentences ended. It is reported that Timbuktu, the Mali government's last major stronghold, fell to the rebel advance this weekend. The ominous black flag of an Islamist rebel faction now flies over the ancient city of Timbuktu. Our thoughts are with the non-Muslim defendants of that city and their fate. The New York Times reports Syrian authorities are dismissing the gathering of Friends of Syria, dozens of countries including the United States and the United Kingdom, after they move closer to direct intervention in Syria. Arab nations are pledging $100 million to pay opposition fighters, and the Obama administration agreeing to send communications equipment to help rebels organise and evade Syria's military, according to participants gathered there. Turkish riot police sprayed tear gas at supporters of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad as they demonstrated outside the conference venue. Reports of UK involvement are strangely quiet. Thought for the day: enrichment or colonisation? Do you know, or does the government even care? This wonderful phrase enrichment has been used since the 1980s to make us all feel much better about being taken over, and the term racist has been used to kill off any objection to being enriched by making the thinker feel he or she is a thoroughly bad person and really should know better. Well, here we are, folks, sending out this message on the world at 8. The British National Party does care. We are not racist and we do not want to be enriched anymore. There is good enrichment and bad enrichment. Examples. Good enrichment is having a Chinese takeaway or Indian restaurant in most towns. Bad enrichment is having old public houses taken over and establishing around 30 to 40 Indian or Chinese eating houses in one small town. Good enrichment is a very small percentage of non-English speaking children in one school, thus enabling the English speaking pupils to learn proper English and also the English heritage and religion. Bad enrichment is having 547,000 children speaking an alien tongue in our schools nationally, which is around 1 in 6 pupils. Technically meaning that English schools are no longer English speaking schools. In fact, figures show that almost 1 million children who now attend schools in England do not have English as their first language at home. There are even 97 schools in our country where children speaking English make up for less than 1 in 20 pupils. This is clearly not only bad enrichment, but very bad enrichment for any country, let alone a small island like ours. Bad enrichment. Old people being forced out of their homes and new homes being built on greenbelt land to accommodate who? Not apparently the ageing and increasingly defunct English, oh no, but the incoming colonisers. They are the ones who are taking over most of the new builds now. Good enrichment is building more homes on landfill sites for hard-up English couple or ethnics, as long as they take their place on the council housing, or social housing as it is now called, listings. Bad enrichment is allowing hundreds if not thousands of militant Muslims to march through some of our towns insulting the inhabitants. Good enrichment is allowing alternative marches and protests through towns and not having the police afraid of being outnumbered, which of course they are at the moment. Bad enrichment plunges the country into massive debt and selling off whatever assets it has to enable more and more enrichment to settle here, having to take on more and more extreme methods of farming to feed them all. Because as we know, most of these enrichers cannot or will not integrate into any other society than their own, and we as a country must accommodate all and sundry, apparently. Good enrichment occurs when small, monitored numbers of foreigners are allowed in, our food chain is not disturbed in any way, and the monies these people make does not go out of our country. In fact, bad enrichment accounts for most, if not all, the ills of our country at the moment. The pressure of our social housing, education, policing, national health hospitals and workers, farming, shops, the general lack of social structure as opposed to social engineering, the outcome of which we are seeing now. Now the stable door is hardly able to swing, let alone close. It will take harsh measures to come even close to the numbers of foreigners we should allow per capita in our country. It is racist thoughts, but I would rather have 2 Polish plumbers than 1 Muslim cleric, whatever colour that cleric may be, but not 5 Polish plumbers. I would rather have the Krays than the Eastern European or Russian mobsters in my cities. You have to have bad people, but if I'm going to be mugged, I'd rather it was by my own tribe, thank you. I do not see how filling our schools and lands with people who mostly do not want to integrate with us in any shape or form benefits. They do not even want to live here in peace. They want to take over and are doing so by stealth. Overbreeding is the term for their method, along with money, as in last week's thoughts. Overbreeding is the one thing you cannot do anything about unless it is extreme. Therein lies the methodology. Bad enrichment means other things as well. Our Jewish and early ethnic populations in this country are drastically reducing. Why? They cannot keep up with the Muslim birth rate, which has gone through the roof. This is probably not only due to the actual numbers that couples or multi-couples produce, but the fact that all young Muslims are expected to marry. They are usually provided with a home or business or both by their families and expected to produce children immediately. Good enrichment would ensure that our youngsters are hopefully paired off and given a chance on the property rung and work so they can have children, which is after all the reason why the human race exists today. Not to run offices, stay single or put off children until one can afford them, one never can afford children anyway, but to produce the next generation. Selfless like the hive mentality for the greater good of your country, or at least, specifically in our case, to recolonise it. As we know, our youth has been at the mercy of Marxist liberalism for many years, which discourages, amongst other things, family, religion, education and pride. How can one expect to live in one's own country like a minority? Start learning, my friends, start learning. Bad enrichment, air and sea travel that carries literally everything and everyone from one country to another. The latest in airborne or shipborne disasters is the Chinese longhorn beetle. A very handsome little chappie by the look of it. Unfortunately our native trees do not think so, namely the poplar, maple, willow, sycamore, elm, horse chestnut, apple, pear and cherry trees. Brought in by what? Authorities think it is from the packing around Chinese goods not being properly treated. Rather like the lead content of children's cosmetics from that country. Once more we are the victims. Just for cheap goods entire swathes of trees might go. When are we going to start valuing our land? When does the voice of the people become the majority, not a few voices in the darkness? When do we see the light? No country in the world, let alone a small island, can sustain the vast amount of foreigners who have come in and are still coming in. Our government actually advertises this country abroad for the benefits it brings to all and sundry. Our media caters to foreigners. Our employers cater to foreigners. Our council and governments give them jobs within their workplaces. We tolerate their bullying and ignorance and their religious preferences. We are not allowed as a people to voice any disapproval for what is happening on our own soil. This has got to change, or we will have to change, and the change will not be for the better. If evil flourishes because one man does nothing, what happens when a whole country does nothing? You have been listening to The World at 8. I am Lynn Mozart, and I wish you all a very good night.